Hello everyone. Is my voice audible, guys? Yeah, guys, I have uploaded the video, but the second part I couldn't upload. So I will send the link of second part, okay, by the end of today. By the way, in the second part, I have not explained any concept. Just I was explaining about that assignment part, practice question. But anyways, I will upload that video as well, okay? Okay. Yeah. So did you guys had any pre-class? Did they provide any pre-class video? Use effect hook, right? Okay. So did you understood what is use effect hook? Did you guys understood what is use effect hook? Okay. So anybody can explain what they have explained in that? You guys can unmute yourself in case if anyone wants to explain what was explained in the pre-class video. Yeah, Sunil, you can ask the question, whatever you have. Yeah.
Yeah, so like my question is like of course like they are used for all handling the side effects, right? So anything like kind of getting outsourced from apart from the React, whatever the functionalities are there. So for instance, you like while we are like doing any fetch or we are doing API request, so even that is considered as a side effect, right?
Yes. Yes.
So like that anyway we would be doing that through like a function like but why do we like need that like like strictly to use effect hook because without that too we can also perform, right?
Yeah. Okay. I will explain. Okay. So we will be covering this point.
Sure.
Yeah. Anything else apart from this? Anyone? Okay. 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 So we have exactly 2 sessions on this use effect. Okay. And this is one of the this is the topic which people will get confused a lot of time. Okay. That is the reason they have arranged 2 sessions on this concept called use effect. So we will go slowly step by step. Then you will understand the entire concept of use effect. Okay. Okay, if you get confused at any particular point or if you didn't understand something, feel free to let me know. Okay, so in between I will be asking, did you understood? Did you understood? At that time, if you haven't understood anything or if you got confused, feel free to let me know. Okay, so we will come back to use effect concept after some time. Before that, I just wanted to know how many of you know what is pure function in JavaScript? What is pure function in JavaScript? Did they explain pure function in your pre-class? In that pre-class video, did they explain what is pure function? No, right? Okay. So anyways, this is the JavaScript concept. Okay. So what is pure function in JavaScript? Anybody knows? If you know, you guys can unmute yourself and you can let me know. Whatever you know, you guys can just express your thoughts, okay? Don't worry about right or wrong answer. Same output for same input. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Anybody knows? Because this is JavaScript concept. Okay. This is not React concept. Pure function. What is pure function in JavaScript? It is completely JavaScript concept. Okay. So let me explain you what is pure function. So Sunil, whatever you have answered, yeah, it's right. What is pure function? So a pure function is a function, okay, that always returns, okay. Pure function is a function that always return the same result, returns the same result, okay, returns the same result if the same input or argument is passed. A pure function is a function that always return same result or output if the same input or argument are passed to function. Understood? So by reading this definition, did you got what is pure function? Okay, just spend 2 minutes of your time and just read this statement. A pure function is a function that always return same result or output if the same input or argument are passed to the function. Okay, just spend 2 minutes of time and read this statement 1 time, 2 time, 3 time unless you understand it. And let me know on the chat whether you understood or not. If you understood, just say yes. If you didn't understand, say no. If you got confused, just say confused. So let me see how many of you got confused, how many of you understood, and how many of you didn't understand. Feel free, guys. If confused, matlab confused, it's okay. If you're confused, it's fine. If you didn't understand, it's okay. Didn't understood. Okay. Now, can we try practically? Let's try to understand it practically. Okay. Now here inside this src, I'm just creating one JavaScript file, something like pure function dot js. Okay. Inside this src, directly I am creating one JavaScript file. Okay. Pure fn.js. Now inside this JavaScript file, I am creating one function. Okay, normal JavaScript function I am creating, like function add I am creating. Okay, now this function is taking two parameters. Let's understand x comma y, x comma y. Now here I am creating some variables like var a equals to x, here var b equals to y. I'm just writing some code, okay, and here I'm generating some result, var result equals to x plus y, and finally I am returning this result. I am returning this result. Understood the logic of this function, everybody? Whatever logic I have written inside this function, did you guys understood? Here a plus b, not x plus y. It should be a plus b. Is it clear for everybody? Logic? Okay, very simple logic, right? Yeah. Now, if I want to execute this function, what I need to do? I need to call this function. Okay. Now, this function is taking 2 parameters. So, I need to pass how many arguments now here? How many arguments I need to pass? 2 arguments. So, I am passing here 5, 6. 5, 6. Okay. Now, these are called parameters. Am I right? These are called parameters. Okay. So, instead of parameters, in general, can I call those as a inputs? Can I call this as a inputs in general? Technically, those are parameters. That is what we have to call. But in general, can I call them as a inputs? Inputs of my function or inputs of function? Tell me guys, yes or no? Can I call inputs of function in general? Okay. Can I call this? These are the arguments, right? Can I call this as, okay, not here. Basically, inputs of function I need to call here, not here. I want to call here. Okay. Now tell me, if I run this particular file, what will be the output? What will be the output if I run this particular file? Node fn add. If I run this particular file, what will be the output? Okay, output will be 11, but I didn't get any output as 11. Why? I didn't get any output as 11. Can you see this error message? What it is saying? Cannot find the module. It is saying that cannot find the module. What is the command I have used to run this particular file? Node fn add. What is my file name? What is my file name? Pure function, right? So I have used wrong command. Okay, node here pure fn. What it will print? What it will print? Will it print anything, or will I get any error, or it will not print anything? Yeah, it will not print anything, right? So can I do one thing? Can I write this code inside the console.log? Can I call this function inside the console.log? Okay, now it will execute. Now I got 11. Okay, now what is the input I have passed? What is the input I have passed? 5, 6. I have passed the input as 5, 6. Based on this input, what is the output I have received? What is the output I got from this function? I got output as 11. Am I right? Yeah. Now suppose if I am passing some different input, if I pass here something like 15, and if I pass here something like 16, if I am passing the input 15, if I am passing the input 16, what will be my answer? What will be my answer? It will be 31. It will be 31. Okay, so can I try it? 31. Now suppose again, if I call this function by passing the input 5, 6. Again, I am passing here 5, 6. What will be the output? It will be 11, or it will be something else? It will be 11, or it will be something else. If I pass 5, 6, it will be 11 only. It will be 11 only, right? It means whenever you pass the input 5, 6, whenever you pass the input 5, 6 to this function is going to always return output as 11. Am I right? Whenever I pass 5, 6 as an input, it will always return the output 11 only. if I pass 15 comma 16, if I pass 15 comma 16, how many times if I pass 15 comma 16 and how many times I call this function, it will always return 31 only. It will return 31 only. Apart from that, it will not return anything else. Am I right? Yeah. Now I can say fn add is a pure function. Now here I can declare fn add is a pure function. Why pure function? Whatever input you pass, it will always return the same output. Whenever you pass same input, it will return always same output. So that is what I have told here. A pure function is a function that always return the same result or output if the same input or argument are passed to the function. If you pass 5 comma 6, it will always return 11 only. You pass today, you pass tomorrow, or you pass after 10 days. If you pass 5 comma 6 as an input to this function, it will always return 11 only. 11 only. Okay. Got it? What is pure function? Understood little bit what is pure function now? Yeah. Now let's consider I am creating one variable. Here var c equals to 10. I am creating a variable outside my function. Okay, this is the variable outside my function. Now this c can I access inside the fn add? This c can I access inside the fn add? Can I access here? Can I access here? Right, I can access. Now if I execute this, what will be the result? If I just pass 5 comma 6, what will be the result now? It will be 21. Okay. Now again, one more time I am executing it. What will be the result? One more time I am executing it. 21. It means you are passing some input 5 comma 6. It is giving us some output. What is that output? It is giving us 21 as an output. Am I right? You are passing something, some input you are passing. Based on this input, it is doing something and it is giving you some output 21. Now after some time, let's consider after some time, I have changed the c value. I have changed the c value. Okay, I have not done anything to the function. I just changed my external code, okay, which is out of my function scope. I changed the c value. I am passing same input 5 comma 6 only I am passing. Now if I execute it, will I get 21 or will I get something else? If I execute now, will I get 21 or will I get something else? Now I got 26. Okay. Now once you are passing 5 comma 6, it is returning 21. Second time you are passing 5 comma 6, now it is returning 26. Now it is returning 26. Now can I call this function as a pure function? Can I call this function as a pure function now? You are passing same input, but it is returning different output. It is returning different output. Now this function I cannot call as a pure function. Now why I cannot call this function as a pure function? Because this function is dependent on external code, some external system. Now here external system is your C. External system is nothing but which is out of your function scope, which is not local to the function. Okay, which is out of your function scope or which is not local. That is the external thing for this function. That is the external thing for this function. Okay, now understood what do you mean by external system or external code? Okay. Now due to this external code, the behavior of your function is changing. The return output of your function is changing because of this external code. Okay, because of this external code, the behavior or the functionality of this function is changing, right? Because it is returning different output based on this external code. Now this code I can call as a side effect also. Side effect also. Now side effect, you try to relate with your normal medical. Suppose if you take one tablet, if you take some tablet, then you will ask your doctor, right? Will I have any side effects? Will I have any side effects? Means your body is working in some way. Due to this tablet, your body will work in some other way now. Like, right? Like you will get some itching kind of thing. It means what we will say, I have taken some tablet and this itching I am getting because of that tablet. So I am getting some side effects, right? So this is how we, in normal languages, we will use side effect. So here also same thing. Now this is the behavior of function. This code is behavior of function. But due to this C, some effects happening inside this function. Okay, due to this external code, due to this side effect, the behavior of your function is changing. It is returning something. Sometimes it is returning 21, sometimes 26, sometimes 30. That is the reason this C we can consider as a side effect for fn add. For fn add, C is a side effect, or you can say external system, or you can call this as a external code. You can use any term, any term. Any term you can use. Okay, for this function, now C is a side effect, or you can call external code or external system. Okay, now why we call this as external system? Because this function doesn't have any control on C. This function has any control on C? Tell me, fn add has any control on C? No, fn add doesn't have any control on C. That is the reason it is called external system, external code, or side effect. Different people will use different terms. Okay. Now, what is the problem? What is the problem of having side effects in your function? What is the problem of having side effects in your function? If you have side effects in your function, what is the problem? The behavior of your function will change. Okay. For example, if I am passing 5, 6 as an input, I am expecting 21 as an answer. But here I am getting 26. I am getting 26. Let's assume if I pass 5, 6, I am expecting 21. But I am getting the result as a 26. Why? Because of this side effects. Okay. It means if you have these side effects in your functions, then whatever you are expecting, you might not get that value. You might not get that value. That is the problem. Yes. So in basic, if you, in general, if I want to say, if you have the side effects in your function, then whatever you are expecting from that function, you might not get that result. Instead of that, you might get some other result. So it is always recommended that you should not have the side effects inside your function. If your function doesn't contain side effects, then that function we are going to call as a pure function, or else it is an impure function. Okay, now you got the idea what is pure function and what are side effects. Okay, what are side effects? So a pure function is a function that always return the same result or output if the same input or argument are passed to the function. And a pure function doesn't contain any side effects. A pure function does not contain any side effects. Okay, if someone asks you what are pure functions in JavaScript, this is what you have to reply. This is what you have to answer. Okay. Yeah, pure function is an ideal function. Okay. Okay. Now, let me just tell you one point. Let me tell you one point. All React functional components, all React functional components are pure functions. Can I say all React functional components are pure functions? Can I say this? All React functional components, whatever functional components we are creating, are pure functions. For example, if you pass some props to your function, if you pass some props to your component, will it return same JSX? Will it return some JSX? If you pass some props to your component, will it return same JSX or it will return some different JSX? So for example, I have one component here, functional image component. Okay. Now this component is taking one props. Okay, something like img. This component is taking one props img. Now here I am creating one JSX. I am creating one JSX, and inside this I am just adding one image src, and here I am adding this props. I am adding here this props. Okay, I am closing this image. Okay, this is my component. Okay, now suppose if I call this component, I need to pass one props here, and here I need to pass some URL. I need to pass some URL, right? Here I need to pass one props and I need to pass some URL. If I am passing same URL, will it returns the same JSX or will it returns the another JSX? Yes, for the same URL, it will always show the same JSX only, right? It will show the always same JSX only. So can I say all React functional components are pure functions then? Can I say all React functional components are pure functions? Because whenever you pass some props to your component, it will always return the same JSX. It will always return the same JSX. If you want, you can try. You can create one component, pass one props, and just call that component whenever, wherever you want. It will always return the same JSX. That is the reason all React functional components are pure. Okay, it means, can I say functional component does not contain side effects? Does not contain side effects. Can I say this point? If I am saying all React functional components are pure functions, then can I say this point? Functional component doesn't contain side effects. Okay, so this is what the meaning. If they are pure means it should not contain side effects. But in reality, you cannot create a component without having side effects. You cannot create a component each and every time without having side effects. It's not at all possible. You have to add side effects for certain components. You cannot create one React application having all the pure components without any side effects. It's not at all possible. Okay, so sometimes you get a requirement where you have to add the side effects inside your component, But if you add side effects inside your component, there are chances that your component might not work the way you want it should work. If you add side effects inside your component, then there are chances that your component might not work the way you want it to be worked. Then what to do? I want to keep my component pure so that it should work the way I wanted it. Plus I want to have the side effects also. Somehow I want to have side effects also. So for that, React gave one solution. React came with one solution. Now what React is saying, if you want to add any side effects in your functional component, then you can add side effects inside the event handler. Side effects can be added in the event handler. This is what React is saying that. Now, if you want to perform any side effects, then you can perform those side effects inside the event handler. Event handlers are the functions which are nested inside your components, right? Event handlers are the functions which are nested inside your component. So you can add your side effects inside that event handler, and you can call your event handler on certain event, like click event, change event, mouse over event, whatever events we have, we can call our event handler on those events. Okay, so what you need to remember here, all React functional components are pure functions. So you cannot directly add side effects inside your pure functions. Nothing but you cannot add side effects directly inside your components. If you add side effects directly inside components, then there are chances that your component might not give the same result what you are expecting. But I want to add side effects. Then how to do that? What to do that for that? So for that, React is saying, if you want to add side effects inside your component, then add inside the event handler. This is the one solution what React is giving. But each and every time, whenever I want to perform the side effects, now I cannot go with event handler. Sometimes I want to perform the side effects without taking the help of event handler. So you will get the situation where you need to perform the side effects, okay, without taking the help of event handler. In that case, React is giving us one more concept that is called useEffect. Suppose if you get a scenario where you don't want to perform side effects on the on the triggering of certain event. In that case, you can perform the side effects inside a new hook called useEffect hook. So here you need to understand one point. If you want to perform side effects in functional component, there are two ways. One, you can perform in event handler. One more is useEffect hook. Okay, when to perform side effects in event handler, when to perform in useEffect hook, that we will come to know after some time. Is it clear? See, React components are pure functions, so directly you cannot perform side effects. This one point you have to understand. Now, if you want to perform side effects in React functional component, React is saying you can perform inside the event handler. That is the one solution. And it is giving one more solution. You can perform side effects inside one more hook called useEffect. That's it. So if you want to perform any side effects in your React component, then you can perform either in the event handler, or inside the useEffect hook. That's it. Apart from this, you cannot perform your side effects anywhere else inside the component. Is it clear? Okay. Yeah. Now come back here. Now what is useEffect hook? Can you guys tell me what is useEffect hook now? What is useEffect? If someone asks you what is useEffect, then what will be your answer? Your answer should be it is a hook in React, or it is a special function in React. Okay, what is useEffect? It is a hook. What is hook? Hook is a special function in React. That's it. What is the purpose of hook? What is the purpose of this hook? What is the purpose of this hook? Why we have to use useEffect? It is used to perform side effects in the React component, in the React functional component. Or you can say it is used to connect with external system in the React functional component. Understood what is useEffect and what is the purpose of useEffect? Okay, what is the purpose of useEffect? If someone asks you, in lot of interviews they will ask, what is useEffect and can you tell me or can you explain the useEffect, or they will say simply what is the purpose of useEffect. It is used to perform side effects in React functional component. You can say this, either you can say this, it is used to connect with external system in the React functional component. Is it clear for everybody? Yeah, let me know now if you have any kind of confusion, or if you didn't understand any part, just let me know. So our discussion is started with pure function. What is pure function? I have explained what is pure function. Then I have explained what are side effects. This is what I have explained. After that, I have told you one statement. All React functional components are pure functions. All React components are pure functions. It means inside our functional component, we cannot perform side effects. We cannot perform any side effects. But it's not possible that we are not going to perform any side effects in the component. We will get a requirement where we need to perform the side effects. So what to do for that? For that, React gave two options. First option is you can perform side effects in event handler, or you can perform side effects in useEffect hook. Now this is where useEffect hook comes into picture. Now here I am explaining you what is useEffect hook. It is a hook in React, or you can say it is a special function in React. Now what is the purpose of useEffect? Why we are using useEffect? To perform side effects in React functional component. That's it. This is what we have understood till now. Now, if you have any doubts, unmute yourself and ask.
Hello.
Yeah.
For instance, of course, we use props to send the dynamic data, right? So for that instance, can we call that as a pure function, like the whatever the component is? Because even there, depending upon
it is pure function only, right? Components are pure functions only.
Okay, so like if, including props also, it can be considered as pure function.
Yeah, using props only, we can say they are pure functions. Props are nothing but input, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you pass some input, it should give some output. So what functional component is giving us as output? Some JSX, right? Some UI it is giving.
Yes.
So if you pass some input, it is giving you some output. If you pass same input, it will always give you the same output.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the reason we are saying that React functional components are pure. But if they are pure means we should not perform side effects directly inside that function. If you perform side effects, then there are chances that your component might not work the way you are expecting. But we have to perform. But I want to perform some side effects. Without side effects, I cannot do certain operations. I want to perform side effects in my React component. But still, I want to keep it as a pure. So what to do? For that, React is saying if you want to perform side effects in React component, then you can perform in event handler. That is one way. And another way is you can perform side effects in one special hook called useEffect. Special hook called useEffect. That's it. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other doubts? Which syntax? Which syntax looks complex? Rajat? Special function means it has special purpose, right? Any function, if I am saying as a special, means it has some special purpose. The purpose of that function is already described. That is the reason we are going to call those functions as a special. Rajat, you have to get habituated with the syntaxes, okay? That is destructuring whatever you are using in the state. Okay, once you practice multiple times, you will get habituated with it. Okay, tell me on the chat how many of you understood, how many of you not understood, how many of you got confused. Okay, so I'm just writing here 3 questions. I just want to know whether you have the answers for those 3 questions or not. What are pure functions? Okay. What is side effect? Okay. Where to perform side effects in React functional component? Where to perform side effects in React functional component? What is use effect and its purpose? If you have the answers for all these 4 questions, it means whatever I have explained, you understood. Yeah, we have 2 days, guys. Don't worry. I will explain you step by step. We will understand examples, everything we will understand. Okay, did you understood up to here? Whatever I have explained. Everybody, I'm just getting 2-3 answers on the chat. Should I start asking randomly by taking your name? If I take someone name, then they have to unmute, they have to on their cam and they have to speak, okay? If I take anyone name, they have to unmute, they have to on their cam and they have to speak. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Till here, consider this is a story 1. Till now, whatever we have discussed, it was our story 1. Okay, just consider it was the story 1. Okay, now we have just paused. We have taken one pause on the story 1. Now let's start story 2. Okay, now let's start story 2. Afterwards, we will join the story 1 and story 2. Then you will understand complete picture. Okay, so now you are just think you are watching one movie and you just understood one story. Now you are proceeding towards story 2. Finally, at the end, you will join this both the story, then you will understand the movie. Okay, now can you guys explain me what is life cycle? What is life cycle? Life cycle of human. If I ask you what is the life cycle of human, what will be your answer? We are humans, right? So if I ask you what is our life cycle, what will be your answer? In general, I am asking. Okay, now don't relate these concepts with whatever we have learned till now. Okay, now this is the fresh story, new story. So can I say life cycle is nothing but it's a period from birth to death. Can I say it's a period from birth to death? Means once you take your birth, once you take birth, till you die, whatever period you will have, whatever period you will have in between birth and death, that is what we are going to call as a life cycle. That is what we are going to call as a life cycle. Okay. Now tell me, during our life cycle, we goes through different phases. Like we will have child phase, we will have engage phase. Okay, I'm just speaking in very general. And we will have the old phase, old age phase, right? So any human who takes birth and who is going through his life cycle, he goes through these three different phases. Am I right? Young child phase, young phase, old phase. Am I right or not? Yes. Okay. In general, I'm saying in general. Now, how do we decide the phases? How do we decide the phases in general? Based on some parameter we decide, right? Based on some parameter we can decide a particular human is in which phase. Is in child phase, young phase, old phase. So basically we will use age. Okay, basically we will use age as a parameter. Okay, let's consider if any person who takes birth, by default he will enter into child phase. He will enter into child phase, and let's consider child phase we are considering as from the age 0 to 18. 0 to 18 we are considering as a child phase. Okay, in general I am speaking. Engage phase, let's consider we are considering from 18 to 40. 18 to 40. And old phase, let's consider 40 plus. 40 plus, whatever age he might be, we will consider that person is in the old phase. Okay, in general I am speaking, in very general. Now whenever human takes birth, so he will enter into child phase or he will enter into any specific phase like young phase or old phase. Any human who takes birth, by default he will enter into which phase? Child phase or young or old phase? If any human takes birth, he will enter into which phase by default? He will enter into child phase, right? And from child phase, he will go to young phase. From young phase, he will enter into old phase. This is what the sequence every human is going to follow. In general, this is what the phases we will go through our life cycle, right? I hope everybody understood this part. Everybody knows this part. How human has life cycle, in the same way your react components also have the life cycle. How we have the life cycle as a human, in the same way there is a life cycle for components. Okay, there is a life cycle for components as well. How human have a life cycle, in the same way there is a life cycle for components also. Now can anybody define what might be the life cycle of a component? When the life cycle of component starts and when it ends? Anybody can guess what is the life cycle of a components? Anybody? Any guess? So the life cycle of your component start once component loads in the DOM. Loads in the DOM. Okay, once component is loads in the DOM. Okay, till component removed from the DOM. Till component removed from the DOM. Okay, the period between this is called life cycle of component. Okay, the period between this we are going to call as a life cycle of the component. So what is the life cycle of a component? Once component loads in the DOM, once it is loaded in the DOM means its life cycle started, started. When it will end? Once component removed from the DOM, its life cycle end. So the period between this is called life cycle of component. Life cycle of a component. Okay, so in React, loading the component in the DOM, the process of loading the component in the DOM is called mounting. The process of loading the component in the DOM is called mounting. Okay, now the process of removing your component from the DOM, the process of removing your component from the DOM is called unmounting. The process of removing component from the DOM is called unmounting. Okay, understood what is mounting and what is unmounting? This is what in interview people will ask the question. What is mounting? What is unmounting? Okay. Now, how we goes through different phases during our life cycle. In the same way, component will also goes through different phases whenever it is under its life cycle. Whenever component is going through its life cycle, it will go through different phases. What are those different phases? Let's try to understand. So we have three phases: child, young, old. In the same way, component has three phases: mount phase. Okay, the phase name is mount phase, update phase, and unmount phase. Okay, how many phases the component has? Component has three phases: mount phase, update phase, unmount phase. Okay, whenever your component is loaded in the DOM, it will be visible on the screen. Whenever any component is visible on the screen, it means it is loaded in the DOM. If any component is not visible on the screen, it means it is not loaded in the DOM. Nothing but it is removed from the DOM. Okay, so when the life cycle of component starts, once it is loaded in the DOM, and when the component life cycle will end, once it is removed from the DOM. And during its life cycle, it goes through different phases, and that phases are mount phase, update phase, and unmount phase. By default, component will be in the mount phase. So from mount phase, component can go to the update phase. Okay, or from mount phase, component can go to the unmount phase also. Now this is the transition of phases are little bit different. For us, it is a proper sequence: child, young, old. We have a proper sequence, but here the sequence is little bit different. From mount phase, you can go to update phase, or from mount phase, you can go back to unmount phase. Okay, is it clear for everybody? Till here, is it clear whatever I have explained? When your component will be loaded in the DOM, Sunil, when your component will be loaded in the DOM, after calling it, right? Once you called, then only it will be loaded in the DOM. So without calling your function, how your component will be loaded in the DOM? So that's what I'm saying. Once your component loads in the DOM, it will enter into mount phase. Now, once you took the birth, you directly entered into child phase. Okay, how you entered into child phase? Once you took the birth, same case with the component. Once component loaded in the DOM, it will enter into mount phase. Okay, this is what the concept is. Update phase and mount phase. Now, if you say that, how you can say it is a mount phase, then we have to ask that question to React, not me. Because React is what? This is what they have told to us. Okay, now let's come back here. Now let's come back. Now let's try to understand this part practically now. Can we understand this part practically now? Let's try to understand it practically now. I'm closing all this. Okay, inside these components, I will create one subfolder called life cycle. Inside this, I will create two components. One is image component and one more is text component. Okay, I am creating two components inside this lifecycle folder. Now here, let me create one component. Here simply I am taking one h2. I will say text component. And let me add here one paragraph. Lorem something like 100. In the same way, let me go to the image. Let me create two components here. Sorry, one component, image component. Let me add here the name as the image component. Okay, so here I will just add some style, or not here. I will add here style. Just one style like color, I will add red. Okay, just for our identification. Here I am just adding one image. Apart from that, nothing. Image src equals to something, one width, some width here, and some height here. Okay, something like 300. Okay, I will add one button here, something like change image. Now I just want to add one image here. So I will just try to grab some image from internet, something like React image. Just get any one image. Okay, so let me just grab any image. I will just try to take this image and I will paste here. Okay, now let's try to render both the components in app.js. So here, let me remove all this. Now here, let me import image component and let me import here text component. Okay, let me render here image component. Let me render here text component. Okay, very simple code I have written. In text, just I have added one h2, one paragraph. In image, I just added one h2, one image tag, one button. That's it. Apart from that, nothing. Now, if you go back here, it looks like this. Okay, so let me just bring this button little bit down. So here I can add one br tag. Save it. Now we got here. Okay, now this is image component, this is text component. Now I don't want to show both the component on the screen. I want to show any one component. I don't want to show image component and text component at the same time on the screen. I want to show any one component. If you want to show any one component between these two, then which concept we have to use here? Which concept we have to use? Yes, we have to use something called conditional rendering, right? So can I do one thing? Can I go back to this app.js? Can I import here one state? Can I create one state here? Okay, can I create one state variable? Here can I say show image, like show image, and here set show image. Can I take one Boolean value inside this? Like by default true I will add. By default inside this show image I am adding true. Now can I just render it conditionally? I can take curly braces, show image, call question mark colon. Here can I call image component, and here can I call text component. Okay, image component, text component. And what I will do here, I will create two buttons. Okay, two buttons I will create. Something like show image, and one more show text. Show text. Okay, two buttons I have created, and just I will add some space between those. Now if you come back here, now see by default you got here. Here what can I do? Can I add BR tag? Okay, is it clear? Now see, only image component we are able to show. Now if I just make this false, if I make it false, you will have text component. If I make it true, you will have image component. Okay, now if I click on show text, I want to show text component. If I click on show image, I want to show image component. Then what I need to do here? What logic I need to implement? If I click on show image, I want to show image component. If I click on show text, I want to show text component. So for that, what I need to do now? I need to add on click for both the buttons. For both the buttons, I need to add on click, right? Here I can add on click. Can I pass one function here like this? Inside this curly braces, I am defining one function. Inside this function, can I call set show image? And can I pass the value true here? And same on click, I will call here as well. Already we know all this, right? Here I will pass false. I will pass false. Now if you come back here, now see, if I click on show text, I got text. If I click on show image, I got show image. Show text, show image. Understood whatever I have done till now? Is it clear for everybody? Okay, it's very easy. I hope everybody understood it. Okay. Now tell me which component is visible on this screen. Which component is visible on the screen? Image component. So can I say image component is mounted? Can I say image component is loaded in the DOM? Okay. Now if I click on show text, which component is loaded now? Which component is loaded? Which component is mounted? Which component is mounted? Text component. And your image component is unmounted now. Image component is unmounted. If I click on show image, image component is mounted and text component is unmounted. Unmounted. Unmounted means it is removed from the DOM. Mounted means it is loaded in the DOM. Is it clear now? Mounting, unmounting, mounted and unmounted. So here I am using the term mounted. Here I am using the word unmounted. Okay, mounted means already loaded. Unmounted means removed. Okay, the process of loading is called mounting. The process of removing is called unmounting. Okay, so don't relate mounting, unmounted and mount. Okay, all these are three different things.
Okay. Now text. Okay, here text component. If I click on show image, now tell me, image component is mounted or unmounted? Image component is mounted or unmounted? It is mounted. It is mounted means its life cycle started. Can I say image component life cycle started? Okay. Now image component is in which phase? Image component is in which phase? Image component is in which phase now? Its life cycle started means it is under certain phase. Now it is in which phase? By default it will be in which phase? Mount phase. It will be in the mount phase. So whenever life cycle starts, by default it will be in the mount phase. Okay. Now I am clicking on show text. Now my image component is unmounted. Can I say my image component is unmounted? Now if I ask you, my image component is in which phase? Image component is in which phase? What will be your answer? What will be your answer? It is in unmount phase. Now you have to say it is in unmount phase. Now text component is in which phase? Text component is in which phase? It is in the mount phase. Now text component is in which phase and image component is in which phase? Tell me. Now image component is in which phase and text component is in which phase? Nice. So image component is again in the mount phase. It means can I say that my component is doing the transition. It is doing the transition from mount phase. It is doing the transition from mount phase to the unmount phase. And from unmount phase, again mount phase has been started. Okay, so once it is unmount phase means person died. Okay, it's like death. If your component is in unmount phase means it is like death. Okay, again it is mounted means it took rebirth. If you take rebirth, again your child phase will start. So from your old phase, when child phase will start? If you take rebirth, now it is also rebirth. So from unmount phase you can enter into mount phase. Okay, this is like rebirth. From mount phase you can go to unmount phase. From unmount phase you can come back to the mount phase only. Okay, now is it clear for everyone? Can you identify when your component is in mount phase, when your component is in unmount phase? You can identify now. Now next is update phase. When your component will be in the update phase. So component will be in the update phase if the state or the props of that component changes. Whenever state or props of component changes, then it will be in the update phase. Okay, when your component will be in the update phase if the state of that component, remember, state of that component or props of that component changes, then it will do the transition into update phase. Okay, can we do that? Can we try that? Can I go back to this image? Can I create here one state? Can I create one state in the image component? Can I do one thing? Can I copy this URL and remove from here. Can I add here? Okay, can I append? Can I bind this image here? Any change in the output? Any change in the output? There is no change in the output. Okay, now here I am adding one button. I will say change image. I have said change image. So whenever user will click on this button, I want to update my state. Set image. And here I will pass some different image. I will search for something like Next.js image. Okay, something Next.js. Let me see an image. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we are getting it. Okay. Okay, let's start our journey. Let's start our journey from initial stage. Okay. Now I will click on show image. If I click on show image, now tell me my image component is in which phase? My image component is in which phase? It is in the mount phase. It is in the mount phase. Now my image component is in which phase? Now my image component is in which phase? It is in unmount phase. It means from mount phase, you are going back to unmount phase. You are going back to unmount phase. Now tell me my image component is in which phase? My image component is in which phase? Mount phase. Mount phase. Now my image component is in which phase? Update phase. It is in update phase. Okay. Now my image component is in which phase? Now if I click on this image, my image component will be in which phase? Now it is in which phase? It is in which phase? It is in mount phase. It is in mount phase. It means can I say from my mount phase, image can component can do the transition to update phase also. It can do the transition to update phase also. Can I say like this? From mount phase, it can go to unmount phase, or from mount phase, it can go to the update phase. But once it is in the update phase, then it will do the transition. It can do the transition to unmount phase only. It can do the transition to unmount phase only. Okay, it cannot go back to the mount phase. It cannot go back to the mount phase. Okay, so if your component is in mount phase, it can go to unmount phase, or it can go to the update phase. But once it is in the update phase, then it will go to unmount phase only. Once it is in the unmount phase, it can go back to the mount phase only. It cannot go back from mount to update, unmount to update. It cannot go from unmount to update. It cannot go back from update to mount. Means reverse order is not possible. Unmount to update, it cannot go. From update to mount, it cannot go. From mount, it can go to update. From mount, it can go to unmount also. It can go to unmount also. And once it is in the update, from update, it can go back to unmount only. It can go back to unmount only. From update, it cannot go back to mount. It will go in forward direction. Always it is going in forward direction. Again, if you update, it will be in the update phase only. Again, it will be in update phase only. Suppose I have one more button here. Okay, let's consider I have one more button. Okay, here I am adding some other image. something like here I will add chakra UI. Okay. Okay, here I will add chakra UI. And here I will change the image. Now if you come back here, okay. Now if I click on chakra UI, I got chakra UI here. Okay. If I click on change image, I got next. Okay, here let me add next so that it looks better. Okay, next.js. This is what you guys are going to learn in the last week. So React, next.js, chakra UI. Next.js, chakra UI. Okay. Now let me refresh. Now tell me my image component is in which phase? Image component is in which phase? Mount phase. My image component is in which phase? My state got updated. Update phase. My image component is in which phase? Again, state got updated. Still update phase only. It is update phase only. Chakra, again update. Again update. Again update. Again update. That's it. Understood? Now tell me, my image component is in which phase? That's it. This is the concept. Now you know what is life cycle of component. You know what are the different phases of your component. What is life cycle, you know? This is one of the interview question, guys. Okay, whatever questions I'm giving, all these are interview questions. These are the interview questions people are asking in the interviews. Now, will you be able to answer all these questions? These questions and these questions? These 4 questions and these 5 questions. So, totally 9 questions can be asked in your interviews based on whatever we have learned in today's session. Okay. This is the story 2. This is your story 2. Okay, what is story 1? In story 1, we have just tried to understand, try to understood what is pure function, what are side effects, and what is use effect. This is what we tried to understood or understand this in the story 1. In this story 2, we just tried to understand what is life cycle, what is mounting, what is unmounting, what are the different phases. And practically here I am showing you when the components in mount phase, unmount phase, and update phase, how to identify it. This is what I have done. So are you guys clear with the story 1 and story 2? Is everybody clear with the story 1 and story 2? Okay, now let's combine both the stories. Okay, how to combine? Now see here. Okay, how useEffect hook works. Okay, how useEffect hook works in different phases of component life cycle. Okay, now we are trying to understand how useEffect works in different phases of component life cycle. It means if your component is in mount phase, how useEffect will work. If your component is in update phase, how useEffect will work. If your component is in unmount phase, how your useEffect will work. Okay, this is what we need to understand. But before this, let's try to understand how useEffect works. Okay, let's try to understand little bit about the useEffect. Let's try to understand the syntax of useEffect and basically what is useEffect. Okay, so useEffect is a hook. useEffect is a hook. It means it is a function. So can I call like this one function useEffect? Because it is a hook means I need to call that function. That's it, right? Now useEffect will take two arguments. useEffect will take two arguments. The first argument is one callback function. First argument is callback function. useEffect hook will take how many arguments? It will take two arguments. The first argument is callback function. Second argument is one array. Second argument is one array. Is it clear? How many argument your useEffect is going to take? It will take two arguments. First one is your callback. Second one is one array. One array. Callback and one array. Okay. This callback function can return one more function. This is useEffect. useEffect is taking one callback function, I have told you. This callback function can return, can return one more function. It can return one more function. This is the syntax of your useEffect. It can return one more function. Okay. So finally, can I write something like this? Can I write something like this? useEffect will take two arguments. The first argument is one callback function. And this callback function can return one more function. It can return one more function. And second argument will be one array. This is the final syntax of your useEffect. This is the final syntax of your useEffect. Understood the syntax of your useEffect? Okay. Now, if someone asks you, useEffect hook will take how many arguments? What will be your answer? useEffect will take how many arguments? What is first argument? What is first argument? What is second argument? Array. Okay. Array. So people will use the term something called dependency. Instead of using the term array, they will use the word dependency. array dependency or dependency. Now, why they will use the word dependency, we will come to know after some time. Okay. So lot of theory we have understood today, right? But this is what we need to understand. There is no other option. So do you want me to stop here or do you want me to proceed further? Do you want me to stop here or do you want me to proceed further? Okay, I think enough for today. Okay, this is enough for today. Your use effect is basically it is scheduled for 2 sessions. Okay, but generally I take 3 sessions on this. Okay, I take 3 sessions. So not basically not 3 sessions, like 2.5 sessions. Okay, 2.5 sessions. Okay, officially it is, officially it is scheduled for 2 sessions, but I nearly take 2.5 sessions. Okay, depending upon the explanation and the audience. Okay, so 1 session is already done. I can proceed, but I know you will get confused. You will get confused. So I just don't want to proceed with that. I just don't want to create confusion in your mind. Okay, there might be some people who might not get confused, but there are a lot of people who might get confused. So I just don't want to proceed further. Okay, so what I want, before you come to tomorrow's session, you be perfect with whatever I have explained. If possible, go through the recording one more time. Okay, and I will push this paint file also, and I will upload your recording also. So make sure that you guys are watching this recording one more time and coming with all the things whatever we have covered. Okay, because this will be the input for next session. Okay, this will be input for your next session. And one more thing what you guys can do, you can just visit the official website of your React. Here search for use effect and read this article. Okay, read this article and come in tomorrow's session, so that you will understand use effect in much more better way. Okay, let me give the GitHub link. Okay, just read and come. If you understood well, if you don't understand, then also it's okay, no problem. But at least read and come. And just check whether you are understanding official documentations or not. Yeah, thanks, Sanchit. Okay, I will push here, guys. I will push that today's code as well and paint file, and recording anyways I will upload. So just go through this. Just go through this, okay? And before you enters in tomorrow's session, make sure you know whatever I have covered. I will upload second part as well. Okay, yesterday's second part also I will upload on the platform. I will try to merge that both the videos and I will upload. Okay, if possible. My cam is not good, guys. You cannot see me as well. I think you cannot see me, right? My cam is not at all good. Yeah, that is the reason I cannot on the cam. Yeah, guys, if you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself. If you don't have any doubts, yeah, you can leave and let's join tomorrow. Yeah, welcome, guys.